All right, here's my pretty much my main trade of the day. It was Apple, a short on Apple. Um, what I was seeing was a sort of a continuation from yesterday. Yesterday we had the big sell-off day, showing some type of profit taking and or maybe a reversal on a technical basis, but it did sell off quite a bit. So wasn't sure how much more it could sell off. However, a couple things worked in my favor. One was we had a pretty decent compression and breakdown yesterday. It was towards the end, but you can see here how it was just a ton of volume here in that last 10 minutes, which was right at 177. And then we also had that sort of 177.50, which was sort of like kind of another breakdown. So it broke down from that and then broke down here. So I felt like this whole zone was resistance. And in the pre-market was still looking weak. I mean, it was down here all night, then gapped up, and then eventually started to sell off some more. So the selling was continuing. Then at the open, we had a really good squeeze all the way up to that resistance area. I just didn't know exactly when it was going to turn around. So what I did was I got in a really small position right here, and my stop was way up here. That was just one unit risk way up here. And part of me just talked myself out of it, so I got out of it. I was seeing these bottom wicks, and I just felt like, I got in within about 5 minutes of the morning. And even though I was risking a small amount or a really wide stop, I don't know, something about me kind of talked myself out of it. But then I came back to it a few minutes later, noticed that the idea was exactly what I did here. Short here, wait for this bigger zone to give up, and then short into the confirmation. And that's exactly what I did, only I got out of this right here. So this was a bummer because I would have been in a lot heavier had I not done that. So that was really where the whole trade kind of bummed me out a little bit. I would have made a lot more on it. And I think the reason I did that is because I wasn't super prepared for this. I guess I kind of knew that Apple was going to be in play, but I wasn't really thinking of this ahead of time. But I think, after the first couple minutes, it started selling up. I zoomed out and I noticed, yeah, that's right. Yesterday we did get that compression. We get a good breakdown. I put everything together pretty quick, and it all made sense. And I think that's why I got in pretty quickly, because I was like, okay, that totally makes sense. If this thing fails, it's probably going to come back down to pre-market low or whatever. This is a pretty good RVR. So, but you can see here that I did get in on the breakdown again. And then this was basically confirmation as it came down here. Had a bunch of levels down here, so I knew we were going to see some support. It did pull back, and it did pull back here, and I got in. I was going to get out of this position had it gone up too much, just because I wasn't sure if it was ready yet to continue, but it did continue. So I got some more partials. I felt like this was a really big move, so I was not sure when it was going to move again. However, it didn't take that much longer. This is 10 a.m. here. About 45 minutes went by, and it already started going down. So to me, this just looked really weak. We want to see some kind of pullback potentially. Like here, I was wanting it maybe to go up. I put these boxes these are like potential add-in spots. I thought about adding here, but then I didn't. I thought it might come up here. I would have liked to add there, but then this sold down, but then it came back up. Saw that as another add potential, and then noticed it break down. So what I told myself was, okay, these were a bunch of good add potentials, didn't work out. Now we're actually breaking down. I'm just going to go ahead and add in here, which is totally fine. This is a great moving stock. There's just plenty of areas to add, and it's clearly in like a a selling mode. So yeah, I made a good amount all the way down here, and then the volume really started picking up, and I really thought this thing was going to sell off to like 172 really fast. Um, and I got some of that, but I started scalping it and lowering my average a lot, and that was pretty much it. I was pretty much done around there. So I probably wasted a little bit on commissions and a little bit of losses in here, but and it's not the prettiest, but I would say that two mistakes that I made. The first one, like I said, was the getting out of that initial entry. I mean, this was a super wide entry. The whole point of a wide entry is to give it time. So that was a process error immediately. So if I'm going to get in like that, I need to be okay. They always say before you enter a trade, mentally prepare yourself and plan on losing that trade. And obviously we don't want to do that, lose a trade every time, but by preparing for it, you don't end up being so pissed off or whatever when it does stop you out. So I think this is a good example of I probably didn't fully tell myself, hey, this could not work out. You might lose 1 unit of risk as it goes all the way up here. And because of that, I got out. So that's one way I can kind of fix that next time, is really just mentally prepare to get stopped out and being okay with it. And then, because really, had it came up even further, stopped me out, and then came down, and then did this, and then broke down, I probably would have gotten in again. But that at least would have been following my process, right? So, I guess you could say I didn't lose that much here, but I think that not following the process, getting out early, and then seeing it do what I thought sort of made me feel a little tilty. So, and then the other thing that I could have done better is, probably not try so many times in here. I'm really just trying to, once I saw this crazy volume start to kick in, I really thought that I could just squeeze a ton of money out of it. And I think I was getting a bit too scalpy, and that was also after it had moved. This is a full ATR here, so I guess it was selling into a full ATR, but I don't know. I was getting a little greedy in here, I would say. Just getting a little greedy. And I think part of that is from sort of yesterday's move into the close, like these nice selling legs. I made a bunch of money off those, and that was really easy, and a little bit of recency bias there. So overall, though, it was a really good move over a full ATR. Got a continuation from yesterday. Pop into the open, and then you sell it for the continuation. So clear and easy trade that made sense to probably a lot of us. Yeah. So I did trade SPY, and I don't really like this trade. I'm not really sure what I was doing here around 1 p.m. But when it came up here really quickly, I did try to short it quite a few times here, you can see. And I just thought that it came up so fast. It did come up with volume, so it was, that was probably, it was taking a bit of a chance there. You can see some new volume here. I was basically just playing this range, and so I was shorting here. I made this little zone area because I felt like this was a bit of a gap here. And it went up through the gap, and then I fought it a bit, and then I finally went long. Went long here, partialed, and then got in pretty heavy. So I made a good trade on it and made it all back, plus more. But I do like the ranges on SPY here, but this is kind of just looking at the 1 minute a bit more and not really looking at the higher time frame and stuff. And so you can see here on the daily, we straight up had a doji, broke down overnight off the support, and then came down and perfectly tested this support down here. So it really bounced between these two ranges really nicely. So honestly, down here would have been a great long. See, I didn't even realize that. So that's my fault for not noticing that. So I don't really I think a short here is okay. You're basically just going back down to here, and that's all you're trading. However, if I would have paid a little more attention to this, I would have tried to long it down here, partialed pretty heavy around here, and then held for another move, and that's what I would have gotten. So part of my problem there was just check the higher time frame a little bit more. Try not to get so zoomed in on the trees and in the 1 minute candles. And then Neo I overtraded a bit too, but I wanted to go long here towards VWAP and towards the top of this range here, but I don't know, didn't do it right. But then I shorted here with this little reverse head and shoulders from the top of the range, and partialed most of my position right here. So I was really happy with that trade. And actually, I really predicted this as well. So I sort of saw this happening and this happening. I just couldn't do it all. And then I longed SPY up here, kind of overtraded it and scalped it a bit. But yeah, that Neo was more of a play on the daily. I think we're looking at this as like a potential short eventually. So I probably was watching it a bit too much as a day trade. I don't think it was a potentially good day trade. Yeah. So that's all I pretty much have for today. I didn't really trade that much. Just I traded a lot of SPY, Apple, and Neo. I was keeping an eye on Tesla too. Didn't trade that. Was just kind of checking it out. Oh yeah, AMC, that's right. I did take one short, and this was a complete mess up. I just had an order up here, and I looked away, and it came right up, filled me, and then, I don't know, within a matter of seconds, it shot all the way up here, and I lost 1R on that. That really pissed me off. That's sort of what started my kind of overtrading into the close. That's just what you get for trading AMC. I mean, this is just kind of ugly here, and I think if anything, the short, I could have gotten a short here and maybe partialed some, but having an order way up here and just sitting up here while not really paying attention to it, that might have been a bit of a mistake. So I learned from that. I do wish that DOS would make some sounds and tell us when an order gets filled or whatever, rather than just quietly gets filled and then I don't know what's going on for a period of time. That's all I have, and have a good day tomorrow.